friends, Mrs. Payne here. I am so excited to be with you today because we are moving into a unit about plants. And plants are kind of my thing. I like to grow them, I like to learn about them, and I especially like to eat them. They're so important for our earth. In fact, people and plants really depend on each other. So let's learn a little bit more about that, shall we? Okay. First, we're going to go over what people need to survive versus what plants need to survive and see if we can make any correlations. All right. People. The 5 basic needs for people. Air. We have to be able to breathe. Clothing. Clothing protects us from the elements. It protects us from the sun getting us sunburns, from the rain, the wind, the storms. Clothing is so important. Also, can you imagine if you woke up in the morning and you had to go to school without any clothing? Yeah, no, it's not socially acceptable. We need clothing and we need food, but not just any food, people. Can you live off Oreos and Sprite for the rest of your life? Maybe, but your quality of life won't be so great. We actually need certain kinds of foods. A lot of them we get from plants. Next, shelter. We gotta be protected. And water. All living things need water. Mrs. Payne likes to go a little bit deeper than the 5 basic needs though, especially for today's modern living. I feel like we need a little bit more. Number 1, education. Can you imagine what it would be like being an adult and you couldn't read or you couldn't write or do basic math problems? We really need that to survive these days. Everybody thank your teacher. Next up, medical attention. It is almost guaranteed that at some point in your life, you're gonna need some kind of medical attention, whether it's antibiotics or even starting a family. Doctors will help us with that. And last but not least, this has been the subject of many psychology discussions, but I happen to think that we also need love. We talk a lot in my class about how everything is energy. Your words hold energy, your thoughts hold energy, your written language and music all hold energy. That energy affects our cells on every level. Yeah, so I happen to think we need a lot of love to survive and thrive. Okay. Moving on to plants. I have an acronym for plants. The acronym for what plants need to survive is actually plants. Some of them are kind of a stretch, but we can make it work. Ready? Number 1, plants need a place. If you're growing plants at home, that will look like a container or a garden, and even more than place, they need space. You can't just take a big handful of carrot seeds and throw them in one spot and expect a bunch of carrots to grow in that little space. You gotta space them out. And actually, each plant needs a different amount of space. So like tomatoes, you need 1 every 12 inches. You can only have 1 per foot. Carrots, you can have 9 per foot. But they do need a place and a space. Letter L stands for light. This can either come from the sun or even artificial light. I have a grow room in my house, I'll show you in another video, where I grow plants under artificial light bulbs. Cool. A stands for air. Plants need oxygen and carbon dioxide to survive. N stands for nutrients, especially the nutrients that you see here. Then this is NPK. Have you ever seen that before? You see it a lot on fertilizers, and it's 3 of the main nutrients plants need to survive. N stands for nitrogen, and that's what gives plants this beautiful green color. Okay? P stands for phosphorus, and phosphorus actually helps the plants bloom with their flowers and helps the roots grow healthy and strong down into the earth. And K stands for potassium. Potassium helps plant fight diseases. Did you know that plants can get sick just like humans? Yeah, potassium helps them fight that. Okay, T, this is the one that's a little bit of a stretch. It stands for thirsty. Plants are thirsty, they need water. All living things need water, right? And then S stands for soil. Notice I didn't say dirt. Soil, the difference between dirt and soil. Soil has nutrients in it. Do we always grow in soil? No. We can grow in water. Sometimes those are called hydroponics. We can grow in sand sometimes. I have something called cocoa coir, which is like ground up coconut fibers, and I grow in that. But I do always have to make sure I'm adding my major nutrients, NPK. All right. I like to go a little bit deeper than that, and I happen to think that plants actually also need love. This is the part where I mention studies that have been done that actually show plants respond to loving energy. So here's what I mean. Scientists put two plants in separate rooms. In one room, they played really happy classical music. And in the other room, they played really angry music with words that were very low energy words. What do you think happened? Yes, the plant with the happy music thrived, survived, and flourished. The plant with the not so happy music didn't do as well. Another fun study, they've done so many studies. There's a book called The Secret Life of Plants that goes over this. But another study they did shows that plants actually bond with their owners. So when they hooked them up to the machines that measure the energy that comes out, when their caretaker would get hurt, say a cut on them, the plants responded on their energy. They picked up responses from them. They could tell their humans hurt. It's one reason why I really love growing my own food, because you kind of get to know those plants, not really, but kind of, and you bond with them. And I like to think in my mind that they want to be eaten at the end of the day. They get their love, they grow, they flourish, and then they're happy to provide that nutrition and that vital energy back to you when it's time. All right, let's go back to my board really quick. Can you see in any way, shape, or form how or why people might really want to know how to take care of plants? Why? Well, I personally can see several things on our list of needs that come from plants. One, air. We know that. Trees make air. All of our plants, they help keep our air clean. That's why I like to keep my house full of plants. These are some of my babies behind me. What else? Clothing. Did you know they make a lot of clothes from plants? Cotton, hemp, flaxseed. They're making all kinds of different clothes now, and most of them come from plants. Yeah. What about shelter? If your house is made from wood, a lot of shelters come from plants, so we need plants for that reason. Water. Okay, you might not think this, but did you know when you eat fruits and veggies and plant foods, they actually provide some of the water they take up to you. So we can actually get hydrated by eating those juicy fruits and vegetables. Yeah, so technically we could need them for water. All right, let's go to education. I'm not so sure about that one, but medical attention. Did you know a lot of our medicines are made from plants? Yeah, can you see how people and plants are in what we call a symbiotic relationship? Symbiotic, that's a big word. That word means that we rely on one another. It would be very hard for us to survive without plants. Now think about all the forests and the wild places plants grow without any humans. They do pretty well on their own. Now, if we're growing them at our house, then we have a responsibility to take care of all of their needs so that they can grow and flourish. And in that regard, plants definitely need people for that too. All right, in my next video, I'm gonna go over parts of the plant and how we eat many plants to get our nutrition and what those look like. Thank you so much for joining me today and letting me share a little bit about what I love with you. I will do a few more videos, so check those out, and I'll talk to you soon.